be damned. They actually managed to save this thing! I don't believe it! Because I had no hope for this movie after the last several have just put this franchise totally in the gutter, but this actually brought it out of it for the most part. That's amazing. But, I will admit, this is not a perfect movie because, number one, this is a movie that really only gets you the first time that you're watching it. After that, it becomes a lot weaker, and there is one huge issue that I've got with it that, spoils, or somewhat spoils, a lot of the good stuff that I can give this movie, in that the good guys' personalities, along with the leader of the bad guys, their developing personality is pretty weak. And before anyone says, well, I'm being too hard on this movie, if you look back at my reviews for the other movies in this franchise, I pretty much mention the banter between the good guys for all of them. And in this movie, while it's definitely better than what was done in the last three movies, it didn't really accomplish that much other than showing that this group of six is actually three different couples, and that Jen is pretty good at thinking on her feet. But the problem is, when she's doing this thinking quickly on her feet situations, unfortunately, it doesn't come across that well, because if you look at her face, it leaves something to be desired, although I will admit what she did do was better than the alternative, which would have her be, in tears as she's saying this. I definitely would prefer the more wooden delivery than having it be in tears, but I'm just getting that the personalities of this cast were rather bland. Even when they were doing powerful scenes, Jen offering herself and her boyfriend as services to help the village, her boyfriend deciding to stay in the village, Jen killing the gay guy that had been blinded by the leader of the bad guys. Those are powerful scenes in the message behind them, but the way it was carried out, weak. And Jen's relationship with her father, they're hinting at that they have some trouble and that Jen is trying to find herself, and that's alluded to by the hotel keeper, that, people try to find themselves on this trail, or that they're looking for something along there, but it's not fleshed out enough. The symbolic or powerful stuff gets put down due to the deaths and the wanting the good guys to get away from the village, even though when Jen's father did show up at the village, I had begun to think, actually, I can see one or both of them deciding to stay with the village and just try and help her dad escape. And sure enough, Jen's boyfriend decided to stay. Right. And then there's the personality of the lead bad guy. Again, they don't do the best with it. Now, don't get me wrong, they do show that he's a very good thinker for the most part, is willing to take action, and can read people, even though he admits that he was wrong about Jen. But, I had been expecting him to be the type of guy that would anticipate Jen would try to free her father, but turns out he didn't. So, that was a little shocking. Although, that third act, it surprised me in quite a lot of ways, because, the guy not anticipating Jen would free her father, that was shocking. The fact that Jen and her father never actually fought him until after the climax of the movie, so instead it's just the ending scene, that was surprising. The guy who's liver, it was mentioned that was failing, him turning out to not be so bad of a guy. That was also shocking, but it does come out of nowhere. It is like Deus Ex Machina, right? So that third act was really shocking, but I can't help but feel like that bad guy could have done a little more. Not while Jen and her father were fleeing, alright? Because it makes sense that all those lieutenants of his were able to get ahead of him. He's older than them. They can move through the jungle faster than him. If that makes sense. He didn't sit back and let the lieutenants take care of it. He was going to try and do something, I think, but it just so happened that they got far enough away that he no longer could do anything. At least that's how I took the scene. But when he's in Jen's stepmother's house and he has cronies outside the house, but we don't see them or have any mention of what's happening with her father? If you were able to track Jen down, wouldn't you send someone to her father, not just have people guarding outside the house? Sure, as the false version of the scene pointed out, he does have the ability to kill Jen's family, but yeah, I don't know. There's just something odd about him. And then there's the small chick from the village who kind of reminds me of Ruby, I think her name is, from the Hills of Eyes remake. It's a nice added layer to the dynamic of Jen's relationship with the village people, and I guess her character is a little bit of a homage to Ruby, given how that character goes for a somewhat similar story arc and has a few similar behaviors, but she's that willing to either help Jen or give an indication to Jen, like she did in that dining room scene, that she'll allow Jen to kill the leader of her village when Jen has already killed the person who I believed was her primary caretaker. What's up with that? I mean, like, granted, after that RV crashes and it's shown that Jen has managed to kill everyone in it, the girl goes to Jen and starts leading her back to the house, so that indicates that she is okay with it, but, like, how did that happen? Nah. We definitely got more from Ruby than we did with this girl. Right. So what I'm getting at here is that there were things that I did like about it. That third act kept surprising me. I wasn't expecting Jen to kill those bad guys at the end. It was nice to see a change in formula. The non-linear storytelling at the beginning wasn't that bad. And some of the weird townsfolk turning out to not be so bad. Wasn't expecting that, even though there is some Deus Ex Machina there. I did enjoy stuff like that, but the underdevelopment of these characters definitely hurts the movie, and as I said, it doesn't really make this film warrant of that many repeats. So my thinking is I'm going to give this the same score as I did with the third movie, but I'm going to say that this is better than the third movie, even though I really do like that this movie didn't have any comedic elements in it like the second one. Ultimately, I think I'm only ever going to own the first movie in this franchise, even though, as I said, this movie did pull it out of the gutter, but it just set it back to an okay level, which is not a bad thing, though, because I think when many people watch this, they're not expecting anything, oh my god, spectacular, just... Still, though, if you had seen 5 and 6, oh man, Right. Alright, managed to kill 7 minutes. Pretty good.